Hey Fundraiser, I'm Mary Petersen, and this is Hey Fundraiser, the podcast for development professionals who are done guessing and ready to build a major gift program that actually works. Every week, I bring you the tactics, the language, and the real-world strategy to close bigger gifts, deepen donor relationships, and lead with confidence. Whether you're a one-person shop or a seasoned major gift officer, if you're ready to stop hoping and start engineering, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey Fundraiser, I want to talk to you about something today that I think we fundraisers are actually remarkably bad at. And it's kind of ironic because it's literally what we teach each other to do all day long. This time, I want to talk to you about asking for money for yourself, which I know your hackles just went up because many of my coaching clients, they're like, I feel better asking for money. I'm not asking for money for myself. I'm asking for money for others. Well, fundraiser, there are times in life when you need to ask for money yourself. Specifically, I want you to advocate for your professional development budget. And there's a reason that this is on my mind right now. Last week, I invited 15 fundraisers and executive directors to my house in Bend, Oregon for a VIP intensive. And when I tell you we went deep on major gifts, I mean, we went deep. Before we even started talking strategy, before they even walked into the room or got here to Bend, I had identified, 5 to 10 prospects for every single person who attended, like actual prospects, real people in their communities who could potentially make a significant gift to their organization. Not like, someday you should build a major gift program. Not, oh, here are 5 best practices for finding wealthy people. No. I looked at their organizations, I dug into their communities, looked at their challenges, and found 5 to 10 amazing affinity aligned prospects for them to pursue. And then we spent the next day and a half figuring out exactly what to do with those prospects. So we talked through how to get in the door, like how to send really creative emails, texts, and phone calls and voicemails that actually get responses. Then we talked through, what do you say when someone finally agrees to meet with you? How do you stop having coffee after coffee after coffee without the relationship moving anywhere? How to package their programming so donors actually understand how to plug in and partner with them to make change in the world. I mean, we went through how to create offers essentially that are exciting and meaningful without boxing yourself into ridiculously restricted gifts. We talked through, how do you know when it's the right time to ask for a gift? How much do you ask for? What words actually come out of your mouth when it's time to say the words and make the ask? And then what happens when the donor hesitates? What do you do when someone says, oh, let me think about this? What happens when they say no? What actually happens when they say yes? We did it all. And by the time these 15 people left my house, they didn't just, know more about major gifts. They had work to do. They had names, they had people to call, they had meetings to schedule. They had prospects they saw completely differently. And they had offers that they felt really comfy putting in front of donors. They have language, and most importantly, they have a plan. They were ready to go home and take their fundraising to the next level. And as everyone left, I kept thinking about something. Almost every person sitting in that VIP intensive, like, somebody at their organization had to say yes to get them there. I mean, it could have been, a board, an executive director, a CFO. Somebody had to look at the cost of this professional development and say, yes, we're going to invest in you. We're going to invest in your education. And I think some of those decisions are going to turn out to be among the highest ROI decisions those organizations make this year. Because think about this. If someone walks back into their organization after this intensive and closes one additional $25,000 gift because that fundraiser or executive director now knows who to call, how to get in the door, what to put in front of that donor, when to ask, how to ask in a beautiful, graceful way, and exactly what to say. Was the professional development experience expensive, or was it ridiculously inexpensive? And that is what I want to talk to you about today, because I think we need to completely change the way we talk about professional development. Many people say, oh, professional development, this is a perk. No, fundraiser, it's not a perk. Like somewhere along the way, we started treating professional development like a little employee treat. Like, oh, you've worked so hard this year. Maybe we'll let you go to a conference next year. No, that is not what this is. Professional development for a fundraiser is not a spa day. It's not a vacation. And it's certainly not a gold star for any like good employee. It is an investment in the organization's ability to generate revenue. Those are completely different things. And I see this every year. Like autumn rolls around, like your budget season starts, and an executive director will start thinking about their professional development or ask their director of development to submit next year's budget. And there it is. Okay, I'm going to put in $1,500 for professional development. Why 1,500? I don't know, because it was 1,500 last year is what my gut is that people would say. And that's what somebody put in the spreadsheet 7 years ago. And we've apparently all agreed that the $1,500 is the appropriate amount of money a fundraiser is allowed to spend learning how to raise millions of dollars for the love. And sometimes the fundraiser knows exactly what they need. There's an intensive she wants to attend. There's coaching they want. There's specific training they know would solve the problem that they have. But asking for $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 feels uncomfortable because you have to explain why. And so you don't want to explain why. So you just kind of put the old $1,500 into the budget, and then the budget gets approved. And then 6 months later, you're sitting across from a donor who could give $50,000, but you're still unsure how to make the proper ask. Or you have 10 donors sitting in your portfolio who could give significantly more, but you don't know which ones to focus on first and where to go with each one or what's the right ask amount. Another example is you might be cultivating someone endlessly, which I like to call serial cultivation, because you might not know how to take that relationship from cordial and relationshipy to the next level, which is the ask. And suddenly, that tiny professional development line doesn't look so inexpensive anymore. Here's the part that drives me absolutely crazy. Organizations will spend money on almost every other part of fundraising without blinking. Database, absolutely, we totally need this. Website, of course. Direct mail, yes. The $10,000 event venue, 100%. Centerpieces, apparently, yes. Dinner for 400 people, absolutely. Chicken that will be lukewarm by the time it gets to table 36, here's our credit card. But then the fundraiser says, I'd like to spend $4,000 to become significantly better at raising 5 and 6 figure gifts. And suddenly everyone becomes like this financial conservative. We have to stop doing this. Like you can't say we need more major gifts. We need bigger gifts. We need deeper relationships. We need more unrestricted money. We need donors to increase their giving, but then refuse to invest in the person responsible. Hey, fundraiser, before you sign up for another fundraising conference where you might leave with a good tote bag but zero strategy to raise more money, let me invite you to Major Gift Momentum. This is my private coaching group where you'll get weekly coaching calls with me, access to my full major gift curriculum, and a community that's actually moving the needle. Major Gift Momentum isn't based in theory, it's based in action. Members are closing 5 and 6 figure gifts within 3 months of joining. Heather just closed a $245,000 gift. Jacelyn just closed a $212,000 $100,000 campaign gift, and Georgette just got a $500,000 commitment, all within 3 months of joining Momentum. Each of these Momentum members didn't think the donor would give that much, but once I taught them my method, they are raising money at a whole new level. So would you like in, fundraiser? If you do, go to heyfundraiser.com/momentum and let's get started. For making those things happen. Those two things are in complete polar opposite of each other. They just do not work together. So if you're a fundraiser listening to me right now and your 2027 budget is being built, I want you to do something different this year. I don't want you to submit a professional development expense. I want you to make a business case for a professional development investment. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that. Because fundraiser, you are part of the mission and the organization funds the mission. And you having that education helps fund the mission. So here's step one. I want you to decide what you need. Like, where is your biggest gap? You don't have to tell your boss, all your challenges and non-strengths, but before you go to your boss, before you talk money, before you seek approval, I want you to ask yourself, where am I stuck? Not like, oh, what conference might be fun this year? Not like, oh gosh, what can I get approved from the budget? What do you actually need to become better at your job? Maybe you have plenty of donors, but you don't know which ones you should be focusing on. Maybe you're managing a portfolio of 150 people and treating every single one of them like they're equally important. They're not, by the way. Maybe you have great prospects, but you can't get in the door with them. Like, you can't get the meetings. Or maybe you get the meetings and they're nice, lovely little conversations that go nowhere. Or the situation could be that you are the queen of cultivation, right? You are fantastic at cultivation, but you might be terrified to make the ask. I mean, that was me for years. And maybe you don't know how much to ask for when it comes to a major gift. Maybe when a donor says, what could $100,000 do? You suddenly find yourself reciting a list of programs instead of giving them an opportunity they can actually get excited about. I mean, or you could be the executive director and major gifts are one of the 716 things that you have to do every single week. And that just continually falls off the plate. Maybe you know what you're supposed to do, but you don't have a system. Like, figure out what that gap is, because the best professional development doesn't teach you a bunch of interesting things. It closes a gap between where you are and where your organization needs you to be, and then figure out what would actually solve that. And please don't start your thinking with like, oh, what do I think they will approve? That's how we end up right back at our $1,500 budget line. So really start with, what do I need? And then build the case. Okay, the step two is you need to know your number. I mean, this is like an ask. So act like a fundraiser. Know what you're asking for. Is it, how much does the program cost? Is there travel? Is there hotel? I mean, whatever else you need, but put the entire number together. And you don't want to go into your boss's office and say something like, well, the registration is $29.50, but then I guess there'd probably be airfare and like maybe a hotel. I don't know. No. Would you coach a fundraiser to walk into a donor meeting like that? No. You would say, know what you're asking for, put your backbone in place. So it's the same thing here. If the investment is $4,000, say $4,000. If it's $5,500, say $5,500. Whatever the real number is, know it. Because then you can do step 3, which is the ROI math. This is probably the biggest change I want you to make. Let's stop presenting professional development as a cost. I mean, I know it's a cost, but let's not call it a cost. Present the potential return, because costs get cut, investments get evaluated. So I put together recently a budget kit that it's completely free. You can download it, it's in the show notes, and it actually has an ROI worksheet specifically like this. So it asks you to calculate like the full investment and really look realistically at the additional revenue that you could close based on the education you're seeking. Then you calculate the return and identify like the single break even gift that would pay for the entire investment. So let me show you how simple this could be. Let's say you're asking for $4,000 to attend a professional development thing. Now look at your donor base. How many current donors could realistically give meaningfully more? 10, 30? Like let's use 20. Now, let's say those 20 people could realistically give $10,000 more per year than they're giving today if the relationship were managed differently and they were appropriately asked. And I'm not saying all 20 are going to say yes. Like, please don't walk into your board or your executive director's office promising that. Like, let's be conservative and then over deliver. Let's just say 5 out of 20 say yes. 5 times 10,000, that's $50,000. Now listen to the difference between these two conversations. Here's conversation 1. I'd really like to attend this professional development program next year. It's $4,000. That's totally just a cost. Here is conversation number 2. I've identified approximately 20 donors in our current base who I believe have the potential to give at a much higher level. If just 5 increase their giving, that's an additional $50,000 in annual revenue. I'm asking you to invest $4,000 in building my ability to cultivate and solicit those donors in the fastest, most effective way possible. That, fundraiser, is a revenue decision. It's the same $4,000, but a completely different conversation. And I also want you to know your break even gift. This is really actually a quite easy number. If the whole thing costs $4,000, then one $5,000 gift pays for it. If it costs $3,000, one $5,000 gift more than pays for it. If it costs $5,000, one $10,000 gift, of course. You can say, if this investment results in one additional $10,000 gift, it pays for itself twice over. I believe the opportunity is significantly larger than one gift. That's it. You don't need a 17-page PowerPoint. You just need the simple math. So step 4 is make the business case. Here's the structure I want you to use. And it's really 4 things: the problem, what the problem is costing you, what you propose doing about it, and what the investment could return. So the budget kit that you can download for free uses exactly that order because it mirrors how a decision actually gets made by your board or by your executive director. So maybe it sounds like this. Right now, we have strong donor relationships, but we do not have a repeatable major gift system. We're not consistently identifying which donors have the greatest opportunity, moving those relationships forward towards solicitation or asking for larger gifts. I really believe there is significantly more revenue available inside our existing donor base. I'm proposing that we invest $4,000 next year in professional development, specifically focused on building our major gift capacity. If the investment produces one gift of $10K, it more than pays for itself. And if it changes how we work with our top 20 to 25 donor, the return is going to continue year over year. That is something that your executive director and your board should pay attention to. Because you're not saying, can I go somewhere? You're saying, I've identified a problem and I'm proposing a solution. That is leadership, fundraiser. Okay, step 5, make the ask before the budget meeting. And I want you to hear me on this. Please don't wait until you're sitting around the conference room table with the entire leadership team while everyone is trying to cut 8% from their departmental budget. That's probably the worst moment to unveil this new expense, like even when you frame it the way I've told you to frame it. So send the proposal ahead of time. Talk to your boss or your board before the meeting. Let them read it without the audience. Let them think, let them digest the numbers. Let them get comfortable with the idea before it appears in the final spreadsheet. If you operate on a calendar fiscal year, the professional development budget kit points out that fall is this critical window. I mean, once the budget is approved, asking in February frequently means waiting another year because the money's already been allocated. So don't wait until you see an event you want to attend. Plan your professional development for next year right now. Okay, now let's talk about objections. Because you're a fundraiser, you know you're going to get them, and an objection is not the end of an ask, as we all know, so we don't want to treat it like one. Objection number one is we don't have the budget. I mean, this is probably the one you're going to hear most often. And I don't want you to say, okay, I understand. You can understand and still continue the conversation. I would say something like, I completely understand. And I want to make sure I framed the request correctly. I'm not asking to spend $4,000 on training. I'm asking to invest $4,000 to pursue a revenue opportunity I believe is significantly larger. If you disagree with the revenue opportunity, let's talk about that. But if we agree the opportunity exists, I'd like to talk about where this investment would come from. And then let them mull that over, right? We're comfy in the silence. Okay, objection number two. This is kind of a big one. Like, can't you learn this for free? Okay, it's a fair question. There's so much free fundraising content. I give away a ridiculous amount of free fundraising advice. Like, you're listening to free content right now. I mean, these are podcasts. I've got webinars, blogs. The books aren't free, but compared to almost anything else, they're pretty darn inexpensive. And all of that can be wonderful. But here's the one question. Has it changed what you're doing? Because sometimes information isn't the problem. You already know you're supposed to call your donors. You know you're supposed to qualify your portfolio. You know you're supposed to build relationships. You know you need to ask for gifts. You don't need another person telling you relationships are so important in fundraising. You need somebody saying, who are your top 20? Who are you calling on Monday? What are you going to say? What's the next move? What are you going to put in front of that person? How much are you asking for? When are you asking? I want you to come back next week and tell me what happened. That's not information. That's actual like implementation. And that's what I watched happen at my house last week. I mean, we weren't talking theoretically about how to identify prospects. I identified the prospects. We weren't talking theoretically about cultivation. We were talking about what to do with Bob, who lives in St. Louis. How are you going to get Susan back into your organization? What are you going to send to prospect X? How are we going to get access to prospect Y? We were talking about the donor, the opportunity, the number, the words. And that's why people left ready to move. So really frame your professional development as not just free information, but curated information on exactly what you need to take your program to the next level. Okay, objection number three is let's just revisit this next year. Ooh, this one. It sounds so reasonable. It sounds like a maybe, but it functions like a no. And this one kind of drives me crazy. I want to respectfully name the cost of waiting. So when somebody says to you, let's revisit this next year, that kind of gives you permission, fundraiser, to say, okay, I completely understand. I also want us to be clear about what waiting costs. Another year means another year of donor meetings without the system that I'm hoping to build. It means potentially delaying the asks we could be making now. And if the full investment isn't possible, could we look at a smaller option rather than doing nothing? Like, that's a reasonable conversation. And sometimes a smaller yes is easier. I mean, maybe you don't want to come to a 3-day intensive. Maybe you want to come to a virtual workshop or, want to do 5 hours of coaching over the year. But don't assume a no to one number means a no to everything. And if the answer's still no, I love the question that you'll download with the professional development budget kit, which is what would need to be true for this to be a yes? It's such a good question because then you'll have the information. I mean, maybe they need a revenue goal attached to it. Maybe they need board approval. Maybe they need to see a clearer plan. Maybe they need you to find $1,000 somewhere else in the budget. Maybe they need accountability. That's all cool. Now you just know what you need to solve. And let's talk about accountability. I mean, if I were asking my board or CEO to make a significant investment in me, I would volunteer accountability before it's even asked. I would say something like, I want you to give me 90 days after this training, and I'm going to come back to you with my prospect list, my plan, the donor meetings I've had, and the asks I have scheduled. Swoon. Because now you're not saying, trust me, this will be great. You're saying, measure me. That is a totally different conversation. And I highly recommend exactly that kind of 90-day reporting to your board after they've invested in you. I mean, it's just it brings a different level of confidence that really helps. Now, I want to talk to the executive directors and CEOs who are listening. If your fundraiser comes to you this fall and asks you to invest in their professional development, don't automatically approve it. I mean that. Ask questions. What problems are you trying to solve? What will you be able to do after this that you can't do now? How will we implement what you learn? What does success look like for you? I mean, what revenue opportunities are we trying to unlock? It's important for you to know these things too, because you need to manage up. You need to manage your board's expectations and stand up for your fundraiser's professional development. If the answers are good, you need to invest in them because you cannot hand someone like a $2 million fundraising goal, give them 150 names, expect them to build deep relationships, make the six-figure asks, manage the board, run the event, write the appeal, manage the CRM, probably put all the name tags for the event in alpha order, and then give them $500 for education. Like that math isn't mathing. So your fundraiser is part of your organization's infrastructure. They need to understand that databases require investment, technology requires investment, programs require investment, your people require investment too. And if you're asking someone to generate more revenue, then helping that person become dramatically better at generating revenue is not wasteful overhead. That's strategy. So this brings me back to the 15 people who were sitting in my house last week. I wish you could have seen the difference from the people who walked in. They parked their cars and walked in on the first day from when they walked out on the last day. I mean, they came in carrying very real challenges, people they couldn't reach, donors they were unsure how to move forward, prospects they didn't even realize were prospects. How they talked about their program needed significant work, asks that made them very nervous. And then by the end, there was clarity. I mean, not certainty. Fundraising never comes with certainty, but clarity. Here's who I'm calling. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm putting in front of them. Here's the amount. Here's my next move. I mean, it's so powerful. And as I watched all this occur, I thought, oh my gosh, more fundraisers need this. And not someday, like now, which is why in 2027, we're taking this workshop on the road. So we're going to be in 6 cities in 2027. So of course, there'll be the VIP intensive at my house in Bend. That's still its own thing. It's very small. It's at my home. You have to get yourself to Bend, and it's only for 20 people. And we do it 4 times a year. It's very deep work. And we're taking that same hands-on spirit onto the road, and we're calling it Major Gift Intensive. So in 2027, we will be in Los Angeles, Dallas, Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia. And it's 3 days. It is only 30 seats per city. There's no 400 people. This is not a conference. This is nothing that you would like kind of sit back, half listening while answering your emails. Oh, fundraiser. This is 3 days of working on your fundraising strategy. And that's why it's so small, right? It's only 30 people in the room and me. So we're going to look at your donors. We're going to look at your prospects, your programs, your asks. You leave with your money map, which is prospects that you should go after. You leave with scripts that are tailored for you, your 90-day plan. I mean, you get a 200-page workbook that's kind of worth the price of admission on its own. But then after the major gift intensive closes on day 3, there's then 4 coaching calls over the next 2 months, just so the plan doesn't kind of like rot or die on your desk that first Monday that things get crazy. And that last part really matters a lot to me, because I don't want you to go home inspired. I want you to go home dangerous, like in the best possible fundraising way. I want you to know exactly who you're going after, how to get in the door with those people, how to have them stop ghosting you. I want your donors to feel known and that you are putting opportunities in front of them that make them swoon. I want you to stop deciding what donors will and will not fund and start asking with confidence. And then I want you to close gifts, so many gifts. I mean, gifts you never thought was possible. This is what your professional development budget should do for you. So here's your homework. If you're building your 2027 budget right now, I've created something for you. Go into the show notes of this podcast and download the 2027 Professional Development Budget Kit, because I don't want you leaving this episode like all fired up and then opening your budget spreadsheet tomorrow and think, what was that she said? So the kit includes the budget request memo, an actual ROI calculations worksheet, language for what to say when your boss tells you there isn't enough money, or can't you learn this for free, or let's revisit this next year. It's going to give you language that you can use with your board and the 2027 calendar, so you can decide what you actually want before your budget gets locked. And I want to do something a little uncomfortable. Don't start with what you think they will approve. Start with what you believe would make you exceptional at your job, and then make the case. Do the math. Know what you need, know the opportunity, know your number, and then ask. Like, you've spent your entire career advocating for other people, your mission, your clients, patients, families, other staff members. You advocate for your donors internally. The budget season is when you can actually advocate for yourself, because you are part of your organization's fundraising capacity. Becoming better at raising money is not a perk. It's not a reward. It's not something we do if that happens, there happens to be money left over. It's really a revenue strategy. So download the budget kit, write the memo, send it to your budget committee. And if your professional development plan includes spending a few days with me in 2027, I would absolutely love that. But it doesn't matter. You decide what you need and find the person who can give you what you need. Last week, 15 fundraisers came all the way to my house in Bend to do this work. Next year, I hope you can come to me, or we can do it in a city near you. Okay, fundraiser, go advocate for yourself. Fundraiser, thank you for being here. This work you do, it matters. You are the bridge between generosity and impact, and don't let anyone, including the hard weeks, convince you otherwise. If today's episode gave you something useful, please pass it along. One share, one text to a colleague, one review on Apple Podcasts. That's how this show reaches the people who need it most. Come find me at heyfundraiser.com, and I'll see you next Friday.